So in terms of legal implications for licensing and third-party content for GenAI, we've got, again, 4 topics. I think we're going to do really well if we get through all 4 of these, but I'm going to kick off really with inviting Jeff to give us some insights into some definitions really into what we're talking about here, so that we'll kind of get all on the same page. We're going to talk a little bit about the intellectual ownership of things like the inputs and the outputs. That's the models and the prompts and the data, etc. And then moving on the conversation towards looking at confidentiality, privacy, and PII, in fact, which are, seems to be quite a key thing right now that people are very focused on. And if we get time, we'll also cover off a little bit about regulation as well.
So hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all over Zoom. And happy to discuss with you this area of AI, which I think has already fundamentally changed in many respects how institutions conduct their business, and that change is only going to grow exponentially over the years.
If you're buying in a third-party product which AI has formed a part of, versus doing it in your own stack and perhaps using it against your own internal data and then implying external data to that, how those 2 treatments kind of stack up from an intellectual property standpoint. Maybe dealing with the inputs first, potentially.
Sure. Where they are looking to run the AI system and the underlying data that they're going to search against now may be against third-party platforms or the internet. They need to be very, very careful. If they're running it generally, if you're just grabbing in information off of the internet, you have to be careful that information, number one, it may in many cases be subject to copyright. You may be accessing information that is subject to that would have a person that would have personal information or violate an individual's privacy rights. And how do you account for all of that?
I wanted to touch on something there, Jeff, that you mentioned a little bit earlier on about the license agreements, and I think what we read a lot about Gen AI is that it's kind of replacing people, and the type of work that it's doing is the type of work that ordinarily maybe in the past was done by analysts and people crunching data and gathering information and synthesizing that into kind of meaningful kind of statements and outputs and insights that then might get shared with clients. And strikes me that we're probably all working with contracts at the moment with our vendors that enable those people to do that work today, but clearly the opportunity here is to replace that work with this technology platform.
Where I've come across agreements where we're licensing data in, they're pretty specific in terms of how you use that data. And there's a common theme in these agreements, which is you are not going to use that data to improve your own database, or you're not going to use that data to create databases, or you're not going to use that, or you don't use the data for a whole set of other circumscribed use cases. So I think you have to go back and look at the contract.
Jeff, any last thoughts? I mean, we're close.
No, I mean, the point I was making, I think, as Dawn, you were speaking before, with respect to how can you rely on how can you be sure that the information you're getting from some of these large providers like Microsoft, Google, etc., that you can actually use the output when you use their engines. And at least in the case of Microsoft, they've come out fairly recently with a very broad indemnity with respect to indemnifying and keeping harmless users in the event that the information that was used as the production data when the model was run, if there's a claim that information infringed the rights of a third party from a copyright standpoint, not from other property right or intellectual property right theories, but at least from a copyright standpoint, they've come out with a fairly robust indemnity. And I would imagine the others, if they haven't already done so, will do similarly.
It made me chuckle when I used to look at our content contracts, and no content provider that I was aware of would give any kind of warranty or indemnity about the accuracy of the information on their databases.
Right.
It's just a clean, we will not do it. If the content providers won't warranty the content, then how can they indemnify us a warranty on the technology that's then being pointed at that content to generate new insights and new outcomes?